Odoyo Owidi is here and Danstan Omari is here. We'll open the phone line short.
Yes.
Please remind us the day's proverb.
Our proverbs for this week have been from the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria.
Mm-hmm.
And today's proverb is as follows. The one who shows his fears ensures his salvation.
The one who shows his fears ensures his salvation.
Yes.
Very good one. Deputy President assuming office, Owidi,
Yes.
you were saying that if we look at what has happened in the counties, a deputy governor is impeached, a deputy governor dies, governor nominates, county assembly votes, deputy governor nominee assumes office, na Kenya inasonga mbele.
Exactly.
Nothing at sijui present this and the other, nothing about IEBC, nothing about IEBC declaring a vacancy in that office of the deputy president, nothing. We did not see it in Baringo after the death of the deputy governor. We have not seen it in Kisii after the impeachment of a deputy governor. So, nothing major, right? Really?
Yeah, so what I'm telling you is a DP, a DG are all nominated by their bosses. And then the various assemblies vet them. And then they assume office. Period. That's simple. If there is anybody who thinks something was wrong in the process, now the courts are there to arbitrate.
If you think about it, Owidi,
Yes.
There's procedure for electing a governor.
Exactly.
And a deputy governor, right?
I do never want to talk about the procedure of electing a deputy governor. Only the governor is elected after nominating nani anamshindikiza kwa hiyo safari.
So who is elected?
The governor is elected, but
And the running
he
mate.
or she has to nominate the running mate.
So essentially, it's not the governor, it's the candidate for governorship who nominates.
Okay.
Yes.
You nominate before you become governor.
Exactly.
Okay.
If there's a vacancy and you're governor, you can again nominate.
And before you interpret some of these
So why
provisions,
why
you
do,
need to
why
know.
do both names appear on the ballot?
Sorry?
Why do both names appear on the ballot?
It is normally a good thing, just like a nickname these days appears on the ballot, to help you enhance your votes. Yes, these days you can have your nickname on the ballot.
Because
It's a way of enhancing your votes. But the person who is elected is the governor or the president. The other one is
those are not the only nominees, right?
Yes.
Before an election,
Yes,
there are political parties
yes,
present a list
yes.
of their nominees.
Yes, they
Exactly.
To
They do.
Parliament,
They do.
right?
They do.
All political parties, they'll present a list to nominees to the Senate, nominees to the National Assembly, nominees to the County Assembly. True? But we don't vote for those names,
We wouldn't vote for?
for the names.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just after an election, the strength of the political party
Yes,
that
exactly,
determines
exactly,
how.
exactly.
But that is lodged not with the Assembly or with the National Assembly or
Yes.
with the Senate.
Yes.
It is the list is lodged with the IEBC.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That is the IEBC then that will determine that yes, so and so is number one on the list of ODM
Yes.
as nominee in the National Assembly.
Yes.
Okay? Why don't we have the same thing as the candidate for president nominating and lodging a name with the IEBC and saying, my first choice for deputy president shall be Rigathi Gachagua. My second choice shall be Anne Waiguru. So if Rigathi leaves, then Anne Waiguru becomes the deputy president. Why not
that is not done so because in getting the DP or the DG, only one person is required and there is nothing to be determined after the election. But nomination, say, to the National Assembly, it will be depend on the strength of those who are elected to the National Assembly. You can get 2 slots or 5 or 1. That is why you have to make a long list in case you get elected in such a way that you have 5 slots, then the first top 5 are taken. If you only have 2, then the top 2. If you only have 1, then the top 1. If you have nothing, then they remain there. But in the case of a DP, it's only one person that will be required in case you win. One person.
So why do they need to appear on the ballot?
I have told you that they need to appear on the ballot because they enhance electability of the president. The people want to know, who do you intend to help you govern this country? It is Rigathi Gachagua. I think it is good, we can vote for you. So the DP you nominate is just something to help you get your votes. The DP is never voted for. The president is. And when you look at the constitution, there's nowhere where you say election over DP. Hakuna election over DP in any statute book. Hakuna.
But there's swearing in, assuming of
And
office.
let me add you one more thing.
There's assumption of office of a DP.
Yes.
There is a vacancy of office of a DP.
Yes.
There is swearing in of a DP.
Exactly.
There is an oath of office or swearing of allegiance for a DP.
Exactly.
All those things are there.
But no election.
There is a position of DP in the cabinet.
Yes.
There is position of DP in the National Security Council.
Yes.
There's a position of DP in IBEC.
Yes.
It's all there.
Exactly.
But this person is only not elected.
Not elected.
Acha,
He's not elected. Even ministers have all such functions, but they are not elected.
those ones are nominated and clear
Yes.
after an
They are
election.
not elected. A DP is not. Tell me where it is said you elect a DP.
And they serve, right, at the mercy
Eric.
of the president.
Eric.
The deputy president does not serve at the mercy of the president.
Of course, there are many people who don't serve at the mercy of including the Chief Justice and all those others, but they are not elected.
They are not
The
on
Chief
ballot.
Justice does not serve at the mercy, and all those constitutional officers, but they are not elected. They are nominated, and Parliament.
Do their names appear at the ballot?
That's a question.
Who?
Do they participate in an
I
election?
have told you the name of the DP appears in the ballot, just like your nickname would appear in the ballot to enhance your electability. The people want to know who is going to help you govern this country. In case you disappear, who takes over? You know the mischief that this appointment of DP in advance came to cure. When people have been elected presidents, they become very mischievous and they come up with names that the people really don't like. And we also had to deny them the opportunity to just wake up one day and say, my DP is fired, like Moi used to do. Those are the mischiefs these things used to come to cure.
Very good.
Yes.
So to ensure that the person who is then the DP, there must be some certain criteria.
Exactly.
Starting with qualifications.
Exactly.
Which are in the constitution.
Exactly.
And the qualifications are clearly stated.
Exactly.
And then the statutes come and say that the person who is the custodian of checking these qualifications is also stated.
I don't
And the custodian of checking these qualifications at the point of an election is there.
IEBC.
But when the Constitution is talking about the qualification, it does not say who was going to determine what those qualifications are. It is us who decided that IEBC is better placed to verify those qualifications.
Oh, yes.
In the absence
It
of
is by
IEBC, there's no
statute.
law that prohibits
Have
you.
we changed that law?
In the absence of IBC, there is no law that prohibits you from verifying those qualifications. If you are not going to an election, you are going to nominate by the president. It is now the president to ensure that he nominates somebody who is qualified to be president like him. If you think he has not done the correct thing, go and ask the court to arbitrate.
Let's hear from Blackwater in Mombasa, and then we'll come back to you. Good morning, Blackwater.
Good morning, gentlemen. I see it's all panel of men today.
Yes, it is. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. What's up with our lady? She hasn't been on for a while.
She's on leave. She's enjoying some time off.
Okay. So basically, I really wanted to start this thing by telling you guys, right? One thing is, in Swahili, they tell you, watu wa Pemba wanajuana kwa vilemba. Basically, we, the public, have no voting right in this situation. This is a telenovela. Just remember back in the day when they used to have the rich also cry?
Yeah.
In Dallas, where the family is fighting amongst themselves?
Yeah.
And they're being judged by their peers, which is the parliament. And if they go to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court, and now the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we have no say in this. And I tell my friends every day, don't get caught up in this. Your friend is your neighbor. These people don't know you. They all go to steakhouse. None of you over there probably has been to steakhouse. Probably. I don't know. Probably. You know? So we sit here. We can talk all we want to talk. But this game is being played on a higher level. Probably they're even derailing us. Other things are going on in the background.
This is not our game.
This is not our game. We just talking, man. It's not our game.
Thanks, Blackwater.
It's beyond us.
Thank you. James in Nairobi, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
My point is,
Yep.
if the deputy president has committed all those violations, what has the president not done? We saw news headlines in newspapers where Hilton Hotel was doing most business with government. We know the shareholding of the hotel. It's clear. If it's the issue of tribalism, who makes appointments? And we have all seen heads of parastatals and all that. Also, who has overseen the killings and abductions of Kenyans, something that the president wanted to be a secret, and they are now at loggerheads with the deputy president because he has exposed that. So, in my opinion, that is not our priority. It is a case of misplaced priorities and misdirected focus.
Okay, thank you, James. Mwalimu Irongo.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning.
Siti habari.
Salama sana mwalimu, kwa mzima?
Mimi ni mzima, nimekuwa mgonjwa kwa muda mrefu, but God has seen me through. I'm back.
Pole sana bwana, pole.
Thank you very much. Let me comment very quickly. First of all, I want to be very sincere to everybody that I neither support the deputy president nor those who are accusing him, not even the president, because I've never liked them anyway. But what I detest at this moment is how their relationship, and they have differed for whichever reason, which they have refused completely to bring to the public.
Yeah.
They are now bringing the whole country to stop operating and focus on what they are fighting over, something we do not understand, and which is obviously not beneficial to the common mwananchi. So let me finish by telling the gentlemen, the two learned friends in that room, to take the advice they have been given by a speaker who spoke, I think the first one, somebody Blackwater. Yes. Let them not get caught up in this. It's not important. People have been killed in this country. We are starving. The salaries have been deducted by way of overtaxing, and there are many other problems. Adani is all here. These guys are fighting over money. I may not say which money. And number two, and that's where I will end, Eric. These guys are fighting over something we do not understand. Rigathi Gachagua, a person that whose character I've also not liked very much, is being brought out to conceal what the government is doing behind the backs of the Kenyans. We are being cheated. This is nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you, Mwalimu Irongo. Come in, Wakili. Saying so much political high stakes. What's the price for it?
Actually, what my good brothers have said is true. The day Gachagua's impeachment motion was on is the day Adani's seal was being done with Ketrako. This is a decoy, a Trojan horse for Kenya Kwanza to do what they want to do. A day before Adani, before Gachagua's impeachment is there, the leader of ODM says very well that Adani deal is above board. Kenyans, Gachagua is a decoy to take our focus away from the ills the country is facing. I totally agree with you. Today, for example, who is this likely to be nominated to be the DP? Is it one Raila Odinga? Chances are 100% he might be the deputy president. Because they have
Chances
done a lot.
100%.
You see, ODM has carried the skunk and they have completely fought. The UDA guys have gone back to the trenches. It is ODM at the firing lane. So probably their leader, Raila Odinga, might be the deputy in the waiting so that the assumption of office is done that way. Remember, what we are now seeing is the reorganization of the Pentagon of the 2007. That old Pentagon is back. The completeness of that Pentagon, the vision they had, is back now. They have reunited, to the exclusion of the PNU apologists who later turned to be Jubilee, who later turned to be whatever they are. Now, that is the political arrangement that we have. When I look at this, who gains out of all these problems? Gachagua, His Excellency Deputy President Gachagua, 2022. To be honest, he gave Ruto not more than 10,000 votes. Ruto got votes from the mountain himself. Out of this debacle, Gachagua has acquired a voting bloc of over 6 million voters. Because of this. Number two, Gachagua is being accused of having funded what we call the Gen Z movement. He has now acquired a new constituency of the Gen Z across the board, up to Sigei. Third, if Gachagua is hounded out of office, confessions were done the other day that presidential candidates get foreign funding from foreign businesses and foreign countries. That has been going to ODM. It is now going to come to Gachagua. The civil society that was always with Baba against the government, Baba now being the real government, the civil society has gone back to Gachagua.
But Omari, just pause kidogo tu. I hear you, but I'd like a little clarification. When you say Baba is the real government, what do you mean?
Baba is, under Uhuru, under the handshake, Baba never get any appointee. He never got any slot in government. Today, under William Ruto, Treasury, my good friend, but the only minister with executive powers to sign and commit our loans, to commit the country to anything, is ODM. Energy sector, the most critical issue of cost of living, my client Mbadi, my client Opio Wandai, is the minister. The Hustler Fund, where all the money is, Oparanya, my client, is the minister. Kenya is now a mining and blue economy. Joho is in control of these issues. So how do you say that you are not the government? It's not that you are in government, you are the government.
Hey.
And that is why I said, ODM now being the government, they are likely, and they have been given an assignment to make sure Gachagua leaves, they are likely to be
To get
the
more.
deputy president.
Oh, well, let's hear from Karaoke. Karaoke, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Morning.
How are you?
Tuko wazima nashukuru.
Our system still indicates that you're in Lavington. I don't think you are.
No, I think you know very well where I am. I mean,
Karaoke, where have you
the
been?
last four. Niko mzima.
Asante.
Nashukuru. I still watch. It's only that I've not been as active as I was before, but hopefully that will change. And I like the discussion, and I don't want to really dwell on the merits or demerits of the protagonists of the impeachment. But I think one of the things that probably is not prominently coming out of the Situation Room, and I'm curious to know if Owidi and Advocate Omari have a common ground in that understanding or that agreement, is that the Constitution keeps winning. And I think from this impeachment case, there will be new jurisprudence, and I think it will chart the way of how future impeachments will be carried out. I'm just curious to know if the two guests in the Situation Room, agree to that. Secondly, I think Owidi mentioned earlier that you can have your nickname at the ballot. I don't think that's entirely true. I think my understanding is that what politicians do is that they rebrand nearer the elections. They lodge documents with the register of persons and, change their names. But it's not technically that.
The names that appear on the ballot are the person's official names.
Correct.
There's nothing.
And I think that should have been. I was hoping. I was expecting Omari to set the record straight on that.
Okay. Yeah, Odoyo will be correct. Thank you, Karaoke. Nelson in Mombasa. Hello.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Wa alaikum salam.
Hey, how is my mwalimu?
Si jambo kaka, uko mzima?
Sasa kabisa. Sasa mi nilikuwa kuna mahali inanikanganya kidogo hii arrangement and the constitution. We are now in this case wakati tukipiga kura mara ya kwanza tulipiga kwa tiketi moja, si ndio? ya rais na msaidizi wake ama mdogo wake. Alafu sasa wakati huu sasa kama atatolewa inabidi president sasa ndiye nominate. Which means tutaenda kuwa na nani na deputy ambaye hakuchaguliwa na mwananchi. Unaona? And then sasa inakuwa ndiye nominate. Sasa shida yangu ni kuwa sasa supposing sasa ilikuwa ni president amekuwa impeached. Unaona? Je, deputy ana nguvu ya kunominate mwingine? Haje sasa ndiye aende kwa nini? Hapo hiyo party ya constitution.
Wakili atatueleza hapo.
Yes. Hapo atatueleza because hapo imenikanganya. Alafu na the way tunapelekwa sasa ni kwa focus yetu yote imeenda huko sasa kwa Gachagua. Tumesahau yale yote ambayo yalikuwa yanatokea kama hayo ambayo wakili ametaja. Maana yako mengi, yako ya energy, yako nini, yote hayo. Sasa wakati tunapoenda huko, tunajuaje wakati wewe umeangalia kando na panya ameingia hapa kala kile chakula ulikuwa supposed kujakula? Sasa hapo
Thank you, Nelson.
Ndio naona inaweza. Yes, thank you so much.
Asante sana. Cedric.
Yes, good morning, Erica and the city Muga and the guests.
Morning to you, Cedric. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So I'm fine here in Wingi. It's so hot and despite us expecting rain. So I'll go straight to the matters at hand and I'll say this. Whatever is happening between the DP and the president is entirely political game. And for us, I'll just say this. I don't care whether he gets whether the DP goes away or not. But as a Kenyan, he deserves some rights, and that's why he's accorded that process through as stated in the Constitution. But my point is this. Whatever is happening now is that the president is using the crisis which we had recently. He used the crisis which he had recently to organize his government, and now he's sorting out 2027 politics actually, and that's why he's getting rid of his DP. It's not about morality. It's not about whether Gachagua is guilty of all those accusations against him. Actually, some of them, there could be a case actually to hold water on his accusations, but to prove it or not is not even the point. The point is that he just wants to be hounded out of the office so that Ruto could have his house in order the way he likes it before 2027. And therefore, instead of us, I know this is a very important national matter, but I'll say this. These are just political charades. They are political games. The main issues, as many of the previous speakers have said, that things are done on the sideways. We focus on the parliament, on the process of the parliament before we just raise our heads again to look what is happening around. The Adani deal on energy was signed. Today we are focused on these Senate proceedings. Before we wake up, you hear JKIA is now gone. I'm just a wild guess. It could have before we wake up, something else has been done.
Yeah, you said, Rick. Thank you.
That's what happened. It's happening. Thank you so much for the time.
Asante sana. Before we go to a break and also we hear comments from our guests, we have one more caller. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm okay. This is Robert from Kisumu.
Who?
Robert from Kisumu.
Robert, thank you for calling.
Yeah. So I was kind of hearing the discussion on your radio. By the way, good morning, City Muga.
City Muga.
City Muga, good morning yako bana.
Good morning, bro.
I hear you on the radio because you dispense knowledge like crazy.
All right, Robert, what's your point?
So my point is, I kind of hear the point that Mr. Odoyo Owidi is trying to bring across. So it's for Danstan Omari, who is the lawyer, to try and explain to us, according to what the Constitution states, that how do we hound out the deputy president? Because Owidi categorically stated that the deputy president can be hounded out by the parliament, just the way the deputy governors have been hounded out here. And it's not explicit in the Constitution that most probably you can't hound out the deputy. The deputy. It's not, the process is not clear on our Constitution. So, will it be okay for Danstan Omari most probably to elaborate to us how it's not clear in the Constitution on what the procedure needs to be?
All right. We'll get that from
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you very much, Robert. You said now that ODM is not in government, ODM is government.
It's government.
So someone is commenting here, Ruto is not in power. Ruto is?
His power. It's not in power, it's power.
ODM is government.
Higher. There's a question that has been asked, starting from the last caller, just explaining some of these processes and procedures.
After the Senate,
Yeah.
2/3 majority will decide the day.
Today.
Today.
Of all members.
Of
including
all
nominated.
members not nominated, they will not vote.
Including nominated.
Senate has very funny rules. Today they say all the 67. Next time they say only elected.
Yeah.
We will hear what the speaker will decide. Number two, after that decision, if Gachagua loses, the ball moves to the courts, the High Court, to challenge that decision. The decision in court will be whether constitutional safeguards and due diligence was followed and the threshold was arrived at. The High Court will make its determination. It can refuse to stop a swearing in, or it can stop. If it stops, Gachagua still remains a deputy president until the matter is heard and determined. If it does not give interim conservatory orders, the process of replacement will continue. Let's assume the High Court has stopped the removal. Then the case will be heard and determined. Still, there is a level of appeal at the Court of Appeal. If that decision is not stayed, replacement will continue. If it is stayed, the case will be determined at the Court of Appeal and move to the Supreme Court. The finality of Gachagua's fate hangs at the Supreme Court. That is one of it. Number two, if Gachagua does not challenge the decision and is hounded out, he will never hold any public office. But what are the consequences of that? I will tell as a political analyst that the last time the right prime minister was elected with the people's mandate was in 2002 as a member of parliament for Kibera. But because he has a serious constituency behind him, Kibaki, Moi had to bend back to accommodate him in the government. Kibaki had to bend down to accommodate him as a prime minister. Uhuru had to bend backward to accommodate him in the handshake. Ruto has bent back to put him now actually at the accelerator.
The last time he was elected was 2007, right?
As a member of parliament of Kibera.
Of Langata then.
Of Langata. If Gachagua goes out, and as I said, he inherits the hawkers. He inherits those who are being evicted. He inherits the Gen Z. He inherits Murima. He inherits the civil society. Gachagua becomes a more political, powerful animal than Raila Odinga.
Well,
courtesy of this.
But you see, Wakili, Raila's potency remains because of his potential to be elected. Right? Because he stands in an election. And there's a potential that he could be elected. Gachagua will not stand in any election.
He will never stand.
And there is no potential of him becoming elected anywhere. Why would anyone follow him?
If he controls 150 members of parliament, he'll be seated at Murima taking his Muratina. You will have to go there to talk to him.
And how will he get to that position?
He does not need to be in the ballot. As I've said, you do not gain political power by being elected. You gain political power by having people who support you in millions. Raila Odinga had political power 2002. To date, by virtue of the number of governors he has, by virtue of the number of members of parliament he has, by virtue, not that he is elected himself, but by virtue of the people loyal to him. He's always seated in State House. If Gachagua takes that line, he replaces Raila Odinga as the next central power. Not an elected central power, but a central power outside power. So that when any government in crisis wants to deal with a deputy president who has gone rogue, Gachagua will be looked at just the way Raila is looked at. So we are creating another opposition outside. Two, when you look at the alignments that are coming up, already there is a lot of fighting for who becomes number two in the event Gachagua leaves. One, the prime cabinet position was created purely, which is a unconstitutional office, to take power away from the deputy president's office. If a new deputy president comes in, the first casualty will be the prime cabinet, because his job is no longer necessary. So he must fight to get this job. If he loses, he'll just become a minister. Two, if the position goes outside the prime cabinet secretary, it goes to Mount Kenya East. People Mount Kenya West might vote to save Gachagua. If the prime minister is not getting the job, the senators from the Luya Nation might vote to save Gachagua, because it's not one of theirs who is going to get this job. If the prime minister has worked so hard and he hopes himself or his person is going to get this job, when it is going to be clear that he's not going to get this job, they might save Gachagua. Gachagua might be saved because of jilted lovers who expected to be proposed as fiancés and wives, and once they know they are not, they are likely to say, Samson way, let us band together. Save Gachagua, none should get. We either get it or lose it.
Omari, you've speculated.
It is purely, politics is the art of speculation.
Is it
and the art of possibility.
It is, but it has to be judged against the backdrop of what is our lived reality in this country.
Just let me tell you, Gachagua the other day was carrying rungus at State House, waiting to chase and set traps against Raila Odinga. Only 2 years, the traps have brought him to Senate. That is the reality of politics. The art of possibility.
Or the art of the impossible.
The art of the impossible being turned into possibility. So, anything is possible.
Mr. Owidi, I see there's something you want to say. I see you nodding and fiddling with your fingers.
I told you from the very beginning.
He's given up as well.
I've told you from the very beginning that this man called Wakili Apa, he is a lawyer of right, but he has emotional positions that he will suspend his law. In fact, that time, if you ask, hiyo imeandikwa sitabeba hiyo kitabu kila mahali. But let me tell you, I first had the first caller, I think it was called Blackwater.
Yes. Blackwater.
With a grazing field argument that...
what a grazing field
what has
argument?
the president...
What a grazing field argument.
When you are accusing Gachagua of the things he has done, he was giving us a grazing field argument that, what about the president? You cannot have somebody who has not been brought before the jury as a defense. You can't. You can't say, oh, I'm a serial killer, but there are many people dying. Look for the people who have been killing those ones.
You know, I'm actually curious. I like the terminology, but...
What does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
What?
Grazing field.
Grazing field argument is an argument that is not based on any law. It is only based on emotions, feelings that, dadi unanichapa lakini fulani pia alifanya makosa huku mchapa. That is a grazing field argument.
Thank you.
Continue. You had Blackwater with a grazing field argument.
Yes.
That
and Irungu came, and then he had a defense even before he started speaking, telling us, oh, you know, me, I'm not even for Gachagua or for Ruto. But when he finally spoke, it was clear on which side he's talking from.
And which side was that?
He was for Gachagua. But one thing I wanted to make a statement that I should not go back with. I have seen the president's name keep on arising here again and again like a sea tide. It is very clear that President William Ruto is not a player in this impeachment. In fact, I have seen people are struggling to bring him in, wondering why he can't say anything. They are ready to have the president come in and say something about this, but there are many people they don't want to hear in this process. The president must remain non-partisan in this. There is nowhere in the Constitution where the president is supposed to be a player in the impeachment of his deputy. We must also understand that the deputy president has a problem with the Constitution and not a problem with the president. Yes. I know those are things.
Although you contradicted yourself. Is a constitutional issue or insubordination?
It is a constitutional issue. You are not supposed to insubordinate your president. That is the law.
So it's a complainant.
No, it's not complained. The president
is personal.
The president has not complained, and actually it even came back.
You told us the deputy president is merely a nominee of the president.
I will also insist that you bring these issues when I finish. Like you let Omari speak all his, and then you bring those.
Okay.
And there's something that people keep on talking about here called Adani. I have seen the profile of Adani. I know when Adani first came to this country in 2013, I have not looked at their headquarters and I say, this is what people are calling a criminal organization. Today, even in the airport, the matters, catering and all that is done by a private company called NAS. And people are not complaining. And people are talking about Adani like Adani has already done something. And it is this country where a sitting president built a railway line from Mombasa straight to his farm and fenced off 32 kilometers of farm using NYS. And people never saw that as a scandal. It is in this country where the president has built an expressway as a private company, and people never see it as scandal, but they want to call Adani a scandal. I think the anti-president...
You call that what?
I think the anti-president...
You call that grazing field?
Grazing field argument.
What about
watu wakichunga ng'ombe?
What about him? Right?
No, let Mr. Owidi continue. Yes.
So, there is also somebody who said Gachagua is a decoy to let bad things happen, like signing of Adani and all those things. I think if anybody were to choose a decoy, they would have chosen more easier to deal with. Nobody would have chosen a process like this just to create as a decoy to get some things done. In any case, those things, even when they are done, the next day they will be in the news. It's only that the news there's a bigger news than that one. I heard my friend Omari talk about we are returning to the Pentagon days. First of all, we must recall that Pentagon was not an illegal organization. It was a very popular arrangement. It was a very popular grouping. I agree with my friend Omari on Gachagua now getting a voting block. But remember, it will not be religious like the one of Raila Odinga. Reason being, to get a religious following, there has to be a Satan, there has to be a Messiah, and there has to be a paradise where they are taking people. You must be somebody who is capable of providing punishment and reward in equal measure if people follow you. If Gachagua is not going to go for the presidency, which will be the reward for his people, if there is no enemy that is going to be fighting, that the people will be fearing, he will not get that kind of following. Just the fact that he went around and called people names here and there will not make him the kingpin. That will not happen. In any case, I think he's disillusioned that he's in the hearts of the people of Mount Kenya. No, he's in their eyes. They keep seeing him every day in the news here and there. As soon as he's impeached and he will no longer be newsworthy, they will forget about him and they will embrace the new nominee for the DP positions, unless he fights very hard using the tools I've given him. He has to create an enemy is fighting on behalf of the people. He has to create a paradise where he wants to take the people, which is very easy to find because it will be fighting for the presidency, probably on behalf of his people. Then they will follow him. But thinking that you have differed with the sitting president and you will be followed by Gen Zs or the law society. In any case, Gen Z was a quicksand thing. It went as soon as a simple announcement was made, because there were people behind it who thought if they keep on supporting it, they'll be using their resources. Saying that Rigathi has got a voting block. If I were him, I would start operating from outside. You know this man called Raila Odinga? As my friend says, he was last elected in 2007, but he has remained the kingpin.
Or 002?
007. 007, you know, we are still electing president as an MP.
Yeah.
So he was elected as an MP, but lost as a president. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So he still remained the kingpin because he remained with a hope for his people, for those followers of his, wherever they came from in this country.
Including yourself.
Including myself.
Yes.
Okay. I know you wanted me to say that. So
that one, you know me very well. That one I was not going to let pass.
So he remained so. So if Rigathi Gachagua really wants to borrow that template, he can actually say, okay, that is what you think. Let me fight you from outside. Raila Odinga did it. When he disagreed with Moi, he simply walked out, with Wamalwa, he simply walked out, got his party and started fighting from outside. It is very difficult to fight from inside because you'll have to use very short weapons.
As an
If
example,
Rigathi Gachagua still remains the DP, there are certain weapons he can't use against the government.
as a DP.
But if he gets out, he will use long range, he will use conventional and unconventional, and so on. So I will advise him that if he really wanted to build a team, and then he needs to get out. But there was Kariuki. Kariuki was talking about the DP being the DP being on the ballot. Let me tell you, the DP's name on the ballot that is going to be used to elect the president is simply an additional information on that ballot paper. Let us not pretend. And finally, but most important, my friend Omari said the Prime Cabinet Secretary was being used to fight the DP. I don't think it was the intention of the president to fight his DP on day one. I think even the body language, everything on day one was very cordial until the DP came back to support the Gen Z revolution. In fact, I'm just using support because I don't want litigation in your place. But it is more than just support that team. He knew about them.
And there's evidence to support that view.
When he was in Mombasa, he spoke like he has known the Gen Zs for ages. He knew they had no leadership, they had no tribe, they had no party. He even requested them to put down their weapons again. But I want to tell you that the Prime Cabinet position was a reward for a person who hold votes. It had nothing to do with fighting the DP. Let's get correct things correctly.
Okay. Let me ask you, do you agree with, or what do you think of what Wakili Monari says? He sees Raila being the next deputy president.
That was a comedy. Because in whose interest would Raila Odinga be the DP? Because if it is his people, even Raila Odinga's people would want hope in their future. They would want somebody to be made a DP they can rely on one day to bring the trophy home.
And you don't think they can rely on Raila to bring the trophy home?
In future, which future does Raila Odinga still have? at 80, you want him to run for the president at 90?
Why not?
Okay, sawa. Sawa, if you think so, at least the people are judging that statement from you.
One of our listeners has commented, when we were talking about the balance between the PSAs and CSAs and the distribution across the country, and you saying we don't have a Kisses.
None.
Yeah? There's a principal secretary called Joseph Mogosi Mutari.
Mutari is Kuria.
He's Kuria.
He's my friend.
He's from the Kuria Nyanza.
Yes.
He's not from the Kisii Nyanza.
Yes. Gusi.
From
They
the
are the
Gusi
Gusi people.
From the Gusi Nyanza.
For the benefit of people, the Gusi people are distinct. None.
Not even one.
None.
Okay.
No, but they have other things.
No,
if you don't have PS, you have the Solicitor General. If you don't have PS, you have the Majority Whip. You have the CS.
They have a minister.
They have a CS. Ogamba, my friend. So what else do you want?
I'm specific.
I don't think you.
Of the PS.
Who signs money?
Because
Only PSs,
They are account
principal
no. The
secretaries
president seems
are
to think
accounting
regionally
officers.
than think tribally.
You know something? What Mr. Omari says, yes, we can argue about it, we can have a discussion, but it represents the reality of our politics.
Yeah.
And in this particular instance, everything we've heard anecdotally indicates that there was an understanding of how this thing will be divvied out.
Yes.
Yes.
The shareholding.
Nyinyi mtapewa hii, nyinyi mtapewa hii.
Because
nyinyi
what you have
mtapewa
nailed it
hii.
very well,
Yes.
as we never went to UDA with a party.
Yes.
We went as individuals just like Gachagua.
Yes, the president.
And that is why we never got anything. Those who went like the Speaker of the Senate, he is our Lord and is the Speaker. How many votes?
So
the question that we are asking, it is a shareholding that people want now to run away from and give it to Gachagua. Gachagua has no signature in those shareholding agreements.
Let's get one final call.
Yes.
Somebody who's calling from Atlanta in the USA. Good morning or good evening to you.
Good evening. Here it is about 2 in the morning.
Yeah, good morning.
And my name's Samuel Njoroge from Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
Yes, I just wanted to contribute to the debate that you have. We are following closely from the diaspora. And before I go far, I want to say that I am UDA Atlanta chapter organizing secretary. This is where UDA was born. The first branch of UDA was born in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I wanted to say, number one, that what we saw in Parliament was total embarrassment to our democracy and our country, because the process was so flawed, and the removal of deputy president is not that something so small as they are treated. Number two, looking and listening to Mutuse yesterday, I could tell that deal was not easy. He was a conveyor belt. He was not able to articulate neither defend or explain anything. He ended up accepting that some of the information there are not true. He did not verify. He concluded by saying he did not have enough time. How could he do that if the bill was his? Number three, I wanted to say, Senate today will either save the country or doom the country, not destroy us a war, bringing war back, the respect we deserve as one of the best democracies in Africa. Another thing, qualification.
We've got to end it there, my brother. I'm sorry, we've got to end it there.
Let me finish this.
Our time is up.
Who will verify the qualification of this candidate? That he's qualified to be president, and in case the president dies, he can take over. Who will do that?
Owidi told us Parliament will make its own law.
Rules.
Rules. Well, thank you very much for your call, and thank you, Owidi, for joining us today. Always a pleasure having you here. Odoyo Owidi is a political analyst. Danstan
Omari.
Danstan Omari is advocate of the High Court. They've both been our guests for the last 2 hours. Asanteni sana. Let's switch over and see what's happening in the Senate.
This is the Situation Room the only way to start your day.